Why do we call it the CCP virus? We believe that the name holds the CCP accountable for its wanton disregard of human life and the consequent spawning of a pandemic that has affected everyone around the world. The CCP is still suppressing information about the virus and running an aggressive propaganda campaign to confuse its origins. On February 18th, Jamie Metzl, a geopolitical expert and technology futurist, claimed that since the beginning of the pandemic, he was convinced that the virus came from the Wuhan virology lab. We should note that Metzl was appointed to the World Health Organization Expert Advisory Committee on Human Genome Editing in 2019. Metzl gave reasons for his conclusion. First, if the virus had been transmitted directly from bats to humans, it should have originated in the tropical area of China, not Wuhan. Wuhan has a continental climate and is not a major habitat for bats, and nobody there generally eats bats. Second, based on Metzl's understanding of the communist regime, from his study on Asian history, he knows very well that the CCP cannot be trusted. WHO's announcement has shocked Metzl that their investigation in Wuhan focused on the transmission from frozen foods instead of the Wuhan labs. Metzl believes WHO has become the mouthpiece for the CCP. He was well aware that before WHO experts arrived in Wuhan, they were already under the manipulation of Beijing. It was not possible for them to obtain the data they needed from China. It was just a show trip. Roland Weisendanger, a renowned German nanoscientist from the University of Hamburg, published a 100-page paper challenging the claim made by the WHO on the novel coronavirus origin. He made 8 theses to point out the flaws. Thesis 1. Coronavirus that originate in bats do not lead to infectious disease in humans as easily as we're experiencing in the current pandemic. Thesis 2. Bats were not offered at the suspected seafood market in Wuhan. Thesis 3. No intermediate host for the virus transmission from bats to humans have been identified. Thesis 4. A significant proportion of the very first COVID-19 patients in Wuhan had no contact with the suspected seafood market. Thesis 5. A research group at the Wuhan Institute of Virology not only examined naturally occurring coronaviruses, but also genetically manipulated them with the aim of making them more contagious and dangerous for humans. Now, theses 6 through to 8, a young scientist from the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the first to be infected with the novel coronavirus in the laboratory, but she has disappeared since the end of 2019. Cell phone usage activities in and around the institute indicate that there was a temporary interruption in laboratory operations in the first half of October 2019. Many questions are still left unanswered after WHO's trip to Wuhan, and unless someone has the guts to stand up against the CCP, we will probably never find out the real answers.